In the previous lesson, we learned about using the stoichiometry flowchart to calculate for any unknown from the given. However, we didn't simplify and calculate our answer into a single number with a specific unit and chemical. In this lesson, we are going to learn how to simplify our answer and calculate our answer to get a single number with specific unit and chemical. In this example, I have an answer to a problem that is not simplified. To simplify, we cancel out any unit and chemical that are divided by each other. Again, it has to be unit and chemical that are divided by each other. Here I have moles of carbon dioxide divided by moles of carbon dioxide, giving us grams of carbon dioxide. And I kind of remind you, how do I get 44.01? And that is the molar mass of carbon dioxide. But how would I plug this into the calculator once I simplify out the unit and the chemical? This is what you need to type in a calculator. You basically multiply everything on top and then divide by everything on the bottom. So how does that look like? It could be as simple as this. I take all the number on top, 3.5 times 44.01. And I plug into the calculator. So let me clear the calculator. 3.5 times 01. What about the 1 on the bottom? Remember, when we multiply or divide by 1, they remain the same. So that's the reason why we don't plug into the calculator. So if we plug this into a calculator and we press enter, if we look at the answer on the calculator, there are many digits. So in most cases, the question will ask you to round and keep a specific number of digits or specific decimal place or significant digit. In this case, we are going to round and keep 2 decimal places. So I'm going to copy about 3 decimal places because we need to round at 2 decimal places. So I have 154.035. And here's my second decimal places. So I look at the next number, that 5 will make the 3 into a 4. So we have this become a 4. After we calculate and get our number, the rest is just copy down the unit and the chemical. So what we have here is grams of carbon dioxide. And there you go, we are done. Let's try the next one. In this case, we have a more complicated answer. We have the given multiplied by 2 conversion factor. So cancel out any unit and chemical that are divided by each other. We have liter of water divided by liter of water, so that cancel out. Mole of water divided by mole of water, that cancel out. To plug in a calculator, we multiply everything on top, which is 47.5 times 18.02, and divided by on the bottom. Notice how I use parentheses to group the number on the bottom. That is to make sure that I actually divide by all the number on the bottom. So let's clear this. 47.2 divided by parentheses 22.4 and give us our answer. Again, notice how we have a lot of digits given to us on the calculator, but in this case, we want to round and keep to 2 decimal places. So I copy down about 3 decimal places, and here's my second decimal places. That 2 will make the 1 stay the same, so we have 38.21, and bring down our unit and chemical, so we have 38.21 gram of H2O, and that would be our answer. Let's try another one. Now let's try a problem with a scientific notation number. Hence we have the term scientific calculator. So this entire number is known as a scientific notation number. So to plug in the scientific notation number, we need a scientific calculator. So how does that work? Notice how we have a very large number because of times 10 to the power 21. That is extremely large number. But the beauty behind a scientific calculator is that there is a button that represents times 10 to the power of something. And here are the possible buttons. We have EXP, just like this calculator, EXP right there. And that button represents times 10 to the power. In some other calculator, we would have EE. For instance, we have a scientific calculator here that represents times 10 to the power right there. See, notice how we have EE. So that is on the scientific calculator for graphing TI-89. Other calculator might have times 10 to the power of something. So in this case, how will we plug this into a calculator? But before we worry about plugging into a calculator, we need to cancel out the unit and chemical. Molecule of glucose, or C6H12O6, cancel out. Again, multiply everything on top, divide everything on bottom. And here is how we plug into a calculator. Notice I have 1.35, the button EXP, and I did not use the multiplying sign. That is because this right here actually represents time 10 to the power of something. So let me clear the calculator. 1.35 EXP 21. Now if you type the time button, that tells you there are two distinctive numbers. Where if we use the EXP, that represents that this whole entire thing is a single number in the format of scientific notation number. And that's a big difference because our calculator follows the order of operation. By keeping this scientific notation as a single number, it will make sure that it will follow the correct order of operation. So let's continue, and we divide by the bottom because the rest is just 1. Again, always to be safe, put parentheses on the bottom. 6.02 exponent, or EXP 23, and parentheses again, and then we have our answer. Like other problems, I have a lot of digits. In this case, it asks you to keep 4 decimal places, so I'm going to copy 5 decimal places, and I have this 0.00224. That 4 will make a 2 stay the same. So what we have here is 0.0022, and just copy down the unit and chemical, mole of glucose. And this is our answer. Let's try a more complicated problem. In this case, we have the given multiplied by 2 conversion factor. And again, we're going to simplify by first cancel out the unit and the chemical that are the same and they divide by each other. So in this problem, we have atom of carbon canceled by atom of carbon because they divide by each other. Mole of carbon divided by moles of carbon. So what do we have? Multiply everything on top. And notice how I got 12.01, that is the molar mass of carbon from the periodic table because of that chemical right there. So to plug this in the calculator, we multiply everything on top and divide everything on bottom. After we simplify the unit and the chemical, we have 3.7 times 10 to the 27 times 12.0 gram of carbon. Divide everything on the bottom, which should be parentheses, because we want to make sure that we actually divide by every single number on the bottom. And how will we plug this into the calculator? To plug in the calculator, we have 1.37, and again, this times 10 to the power is represented by the button EXP 27 times 12.01 divided by parentheses 6.02 EXP button 23. Always try to parenthesize all the number on the bottom just to be safe. And once we do that, let's plug it in the calculator. And again, we have many digits. And in this problem, it asks you to round and keep 2 decimal places again. So I copy down 3 decimal places. Here is my 3rd decimal places. Here's my 2nd decimal places. So this 7 will make the 2 into a 3. So what we have here is 2733173, and copy down the chemical and the unit, gram of carbon. And that is our answer. Let's try another problem. First, we have to cancel out the unit and the chemical that are divided by each other. Moles of sodium chloride cancel out. And we plug this into the calculator. 3.7, multiply everything on top first, and then divide on the bottom. So in this case, 6.02, 6.02, and again, this is represented by the button EXP. So we just press EXP and 23. And we can ignore divide by 1 because anything divided by 1 equal to itself, and we have a number. But wait a minute, if we look this very closely, since we multiply by a very big number, our answer must be a very big number, and the calculator showed you right there. Notice how the answer on the calculator looked like this, 2.274, and then at the very end it has that time 10 to the 24 like this on the calculator. So in this case, this whole entire thing is your number. Because the number is so big, it has to give you in terms of scientific notation. Now in this case, it asks you to round and keep 2 decimal places. So this is the second decimal places. That 7 will make it into a 3. So we can ignore the rest, and that become a 3. Give us 2.23 times 10 to the 24th. And we're done with the calculation. The rest is just write down the unit and the chemical. So it's formula unit. Let's try the last problem. So again, we need to simplify the unit and the chemical first. Gram of carbon divided by gram of carbon, so that cancel out. Mole of carbon divided by mole of carbon, that cancel out. And again, multiply everything on top, divide by everything on the bottom. So I have 37.5, ignore the 1, times 6.02. And again, this is represented by the button EXP. So EXP 23 divided by the number on the bottom. In this case, I put parentheses just to be safe. So 12.01. And we can ignore this one. Give us a very large number that expressed in terms of scientific notation is 1.879 and so on, times 10 to the 24. So I'm going to write this down. 1.879. Since this problem asks us to round and keep 2 decimal places, so I'm going to copy down 3 decimal places. But very important that I need to copy down times 10 to the 24, because that is part of our number. Now I want to look at the second decimal place. The 9 will make a 7 into an 8. So our final answer is 1.88 times 10 to the 24. And copy down the unit, in this case, is atoms of carbon. So this is our answer.